Well, hi everybody. It's been like a month since I've seen you guys. I hope everyone's holidays went as well as they could. Around here, it was weather dependent, and most of it didn't happen thanks to the weather. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, shit happens. You chill, you deal with it, you enjoy yourself as much as you can, and hopefully you guys did too.
My car
What about
started.
you? That's a bonus. That's a bonus.
I'm glad I
How about you,
spent that
Mage?
little.
Well, I've had great weather here. It's been in the mid
Don't rub
70s,
it in.
low mid 60s.
That's like blatant
Nice.
Blathius out there in Hawaii keeps complaining about the weather. I'm like, if you don't shut up about
I'm
your.
gonna fly over there.
He's like, oh, it
It's
was
cheap to do
68 today. Oh, what am I gonna do? I was like, I swear, if you ever come back to the mainland, it's me and you, buddy.
And as Deneen just said in the chat there, Happy New Year to everybody. It is
Happy
now
New Year.
2023. Let's hope it's better than what we've been dealing with for the past few.
Yes.
Because
Ours
things
pretty
haven't
low.
exactly been that great, over the past few years. But we're tougher for it now. So let's take this new year by the throat and tell it who's boss.
Yes, we don't need 2020 version in 4.0 here.
Oh, please, no.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the fourth upgrade.
Anyways, Mage, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been in some of the same chat groups and stuff like that for quite some time, and I'm like, gee, I don't think I've had Mage on here. So
nope.
I'd find out. And what we do here, we chat with folks about how they found their way free of their previous belief systems, whatever they were, and we kind of like to hear how that happened for you, and how it's worked out for you now. How becoming somewhat of an activist or whatnot. So rip into it, my friend, and if we have any stupid questions, we'll just put our hands up like good school children and see what happens.
Okay. Well, I'm not really sure exactly where to start, but
well,
I guess
my parents had sex, and I was
yeah. There we go.
Fast forward.
I suppose starting with my parents actually wouldn't be a bad idea, considering you have a Roman Catholic on both sides of my family. Though my dad ended up being some weird mix of Buddhism and Deism. That plays into things.
I've heard of this before.
Yeah. But mom was of course stayed Catholic, and my grandfather had switched to Jewish, and back to the Roman Catholic later when he developed dementia. But anyway, it was actually mostly thanks to my dad who got me questioning.
Mm-hmm.
And so even when I would say something that he agreed with, as far as religion goes, he'd be like, "Are you sure about that?" You always get me to question it.
That's interesting. Do you think maybe he developed that sort of a trait, I guess, when he became somewhat of a Buddhist?
I imagine so.
Interesting.
I'm actually sure it was actually Buddhism, but it's some weird form of thing he came up with himself.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
But probably one of my earliest memories dealing with other religious people outside my family was I can't even remember all of it, but we were coming out of church, and there was this lady who, as soon as we got out, she started being really misogynistic, racist, or whatever. Or I can't remember exactly how it was, but she was using
the lady was being misogynist.
Well, I can't remember exactly what it was. It was racist, whatever. But she was using her religion to justify it, just as we were coming out of the church. After listening to an hour or so of how loving this God is and all that,
Of course, yeah.
So this kind of stuck in my head, okay, this person's a hypocrite.
A little bit.
It's not uncommon either. It's they sit in their churches under those steeples and talk about love and tolerance, and then they get outside and they go, "Fucking damn people in my neighborhood that aren't from here." Like stuff like that, and it's kind of
Yeah, it's something along those lines. I don't remember. It's a very vague memory from early in childhood. So
And those were the same people that now will look at me like, well, where will you get your morals if you don't have religion? It's like, did you
yeah,
just hear your mouth? I'm good. You can keep whatever you got over there. I don't want it.
exactly. My mom's role in this was she had a thing about going to other churches, different denominations, different religions, and I'd sometimes tag along. So I got to see a pretty good gambit of different religious beliefs and views.
Hmm.
So that was really interesting.
And
Probably one
why would she do this?
she just had interest in it, I guess.
Hmm. But was she because I kind of find, because I find that a lot of folks that are pretty stringent in their beliefs, like they're pretty, this is what I believe and you're not going to change my mind, if they end up doing something like that, like visiting other congregations or whatever, that I think that somewhat inside they might be questioning things a little bit, and they're looking for answers in other denominations possibly. Do you think that might be a little bit behind what that is?
I have no idea, and unfortunately, she passed away, so I'll never be able to find
Hmm.
out.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I still have unanswered questions with my pop too,
Yeah.
he's gone now. So yeah.
That's actually one thing I kind of regret, because I end up identifying as an atheist after my parents died.
Hmm. Oh, so they're
So
both gone now.
yeah,
Okay.
the closest I got was just before my dad died. We were talking about his beliefs, and he asked me what do I believe, and I kind of sat there for a minute. I hadn't thought about it for a while. Like I don't know. He's a good answer.
Yeah, it is
By then,
intellectually honest.
so by then I was actually an atheist, but I was considering, I was we're going more agnostic at the time since I really didn't know where I stood.
Right, sure. I think we use the term agnostic as somewhat of a placeholder anyways until we realize that we're actually atheists.
Yeah,
And in my personal opinion, agnostics are more atheistic than they are theistic. So
I can see the use of it as a placeholder. I mean, if you're not really sure
sure.
where you fall, I mean, you can't really say. I regard atheist basically as without belief in any gods. So
Yeah, or if you're me, because I'm more of an atheist, I think the entire topic of God's existence is, what do you mean by God? It's so unambiguous and whatnot, or ambiguous or whatever. So
mm,
because everyone's got their own bloody, definition of what a God is, anyways. And
that's interesting.
so, yeah,
I can't be
I just think
bothered
it's
to
a
go
waste.
through every single one of them.
Yeah, exactly. So in your childhood, were you guys much of churchgoers?
I don't really remember going in church all that much. Just only occasionally. They never really
Like
forced it on me.
holidays type thing? Oh, that's good.
Uh,
That's good.
yeah, it was never really forced on me. In fact, even in holidays, I don't really remember going to church.
See, when I met my biological family back in 2000, I learned that they do go for like the major holiday, like they go to the Christmas mass and stuff because they're also Catholics, and the Easter and all that stuff for the big ones. Kind of like when I was growing up in Judaism, we'd go for the big holidays. The ones where we go for like Friday nights, like Shabbat, we'd go there, and to me, it was just a big, hey, let's see all the other Jew families in the neighborhood and go say hi and hang out and eat food and stuff like that. It wasn't really so much for the. I don't think people really got much out of the sermons or the Torah portions or whatever. It was more of a, and honestly, some of it was a fashion show. If you ask my mom, anyways. So, yeah. So if you weren't really pushed into going to church so much, do you really think that you guys were? I guess you weren't super religious, so you're just like the average type of religious person. Church once in a blue,
Yeah,
and
I'd imagine. My grandmother was more of the devout, go to church every week.
not surprising. Not surprising. What kind of things like went on, like when you guys would get together for like holidays and stuff like that? Was there ever much like talk about biblical stories and stuff like that?
Easter, my grandmother always insisted we had a prayer before eating.
I think it's pretty commonplace in a lot of places. So
Yeah,
saying grace or whatever they say.
yeah, that was a must. That's for Easter with her.
All your food
Not for the
just
Christmas.
all your food just sitting there, steam coming off of it, smells going right your nose.
It's getting cold. Can we hurry this up?
Yep. And let's thank everybody who's not here. Let's list them one by one. Oh, there go my potatoes. Those are hard now.
Yep.
Turkey's drying out.
Yeah. They say, oh, let's say grace or whatever. Okay, rub it up, dub. Thanks for the grub. Let's eat.
Yeah. Actually, that's how my dad used to pray.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Or little Thanksgiving things. My mom would sometimes want us to do prayer before things. Like, rub it up, rub, yay God.
Yay God.
Yay God. Even though he had nothing to do with any of it. But hey, what the hell?
What was that from? I gotta look that up
know.
now.
It's been around
That's
for a
from
long
a
time
show.
While he's looking it up, I actually started getting to a bit of Wicca in later my teen years. That's actually where
I went down there too.
That's actually where part of my Mage came from.
Right.
So
I was going to ask actually, because
Yeah.
stuff like that does come from the pagan inside of things. If you ask me.
I first got into online. I needed a name for the chat room. I looked down and saw a Final Fantasy book. Like, oh yeah, Mage. I'm into Wicca. Okay, that worked.
There you go. And I like the avatar, by the way. It's pretty cool looking.
Yeah, it's some AI art.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of that stuff's pretty neat, actually. So, and now I hear they're writing, like, you can get them to write your theses, and you can get them to write up a fucking resume for you, and it's crazy what they're being able to do there.
Mark this day 1/7/2023. This is a bad idea. We should stop.
Why is it a bad idea?
It's a terrible idea.
Oh, that doesn't tell me why.
It's gonna ruin the arts.
No.
It might just be another tool in the toolbox.
Exactly. That's the way I look at it.
In fact, I saw
so the tool picks you up and carries you out of the workshop, bolts the door behind it.
I don't think we have anything to fear.
I saw a Twitter post this today of somebody saying they were glad to have AI art because they lost the ability to actually draw physically. They developed bad tremors in their hands, so they can't draw anymore, and they were happy to be able to have the AR work to be able to do artwork again.
Yeah, because they can give it instruction on what they're looking for too, and then they can do it up, which I think is really cool.
If only there was like someone else who had hands without tremors who could draw it for them.
Hi, Jenny.
Well, that's essentially what the AI work is doing.
That's a person, sure. But that's a person.
I got to show this. Because this is back when we were talking about the prayers. Because this is actually, I kind of like this one. Good bread, good meat, good gosh, let's eat.
There you go.
I like that one.
The earliest one I could find for the rub-a-dub-dub things for the grub was from it was in The Simpsons. It looks like it's like season 1 or 2, so it's back a ways. I think that's where I heard it first.
Oh, this is definitely earlier than that.
Yeah, because I was using it long before Simpsons was even on the Tracy Ullman show, which is where they came from. For those of you who don't know, I remember Matt Groening doing his cartoon work. We had a little rag here called the Georgia Straight, which was a local, I guess you could say, pop culture-y kind of newspaper.
Okay.
Tabloid style, and they always used to have the Akbar and Jeff comics in there, and that's kind of where I knew Matt Groening from. And then the Simpsons came in. Yeah,
that does a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and the Crazy Rabbits that he used to draw too. Akbar and Jeff and the Crazy Rabbits were the big ones.
Didn't they make like cameos in the show every once in a while, like on like a magazine cover, or like they would just be like hidden in there? That's cool.
Yep. They would. If you point them out, I think the first couple seasons they would pop up all the time, and after that, it kind of just faded out. Yeah.
So where were we here?
Going through the early life, I guess, of when you're back, you switched over to Wicca, I guess, and
Yeah,
so
yeah, that's right.
were you much of a practitioner in a coven or anything like that, or a solitary practitioner?
I was more solitary practitioner.
Okay, I still have all my stuff from back then, so
Yeah, so do I, in fact.
like tarot cards and fucking even runes that I made. I actually made runes out of that. It's not Play-Doh, but it's like Play-Doh, and then it hardens, and you can put glossy stuff over it. I can't
Yeah.
remember what that was.
Yeah, I had tarot cards. I met this old guy who gave me this book on invisibility. That was interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What, like how to be invisible?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. And so how does something like that work?
Just it's bullshit.
Well, of course. Of course. I just automatically thought of Drax the Destroyer in Guardians of the Galaxy. When he's eating there, you can't see me, and he's eating super, super slow. Yes, we can, idiot.
and then my girl Mantis comes in. Hi, Drax.
Yeah.
He's like, damn it.
It's actually, it has more to do with just not calling attention to yourself. Really.
Oh, so like the I'm not sure if you're familiar with not the Watchmen, but the hell is the other one with the Sphinx and
Mystery Men?
yeah, Mystery Men, the invisible kid. Nobody pays attention to him, so he's invisible.
Yeah. Invisible when nobody's looking at him.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's a great movie too.
What a fun spin on invisibility. It only works if no one's looking.
Not Jason Bourne. Yeah, well, Jason Bourne would be considered invisible, I guess you could say.
Well, around the time I was doing the whole Wicca thing, I went to this. Did go to this. It wasn't exactly a church. It was just kind of some spiritual thing. And a guy would point out everybody who had past lives as Indians or something.
Oh,
you
really?
Yeah, actually, he said I had one. It gave me a feather.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
You were an Indian in your or
Native American
Indians anymore? Yeah. First
Whatever.
Nations, Native Americans. Yeah.
Whatever
I think First Nations is the most applicable, if you ask me.
Whatever the PC term is right now.
I think it should state more or less what it really is. They were the first to come here and settle. So First Nations, I think, works the best for, well, I think anyways. And a friend of mine who's Mohican agrees. He says, yeah, I like First Nations. That literally describes who the tribes of the folks are.
Yeah. Well, I'm now years old and I've heard that, so.
Typically in the States it's Native, but then in First Nations is what the more colloquial term is, up theirs. That's why we never hear
it. It's the best descriptor.
I like it.
From there, I actually tried sitting down and reading the Bible a few times.
Oh. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that took a few tries.
Did you get past the begats?
Oh, no, not
part always stumped me.
I did eventually manage to get through the whole thing, though I can't remember. I can't remember most of it.
Yeah, no. I think we mentally blocked that shit, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I did. Most of it is a blur.
So of the, let's face it. I think we all kind of have a biblical story that we think was kind of cool. Like I like the David and Goliath one myself.
Yeah.
Little guy taking down the big guy. That's the underdog story. Who doesn't like an underdog story, right?
We stole that from kung fu movies. He disrespects your dojo. You rebuild it. You go over to his dojo. You fuck shit up, and then you fuck up the big main boss, who's like multiple times bigger than the rest of his little henchmen. Kills all the time.
Yeah, I suppose so.
But I always
So like
restart.
every
But,
anime I watch too has that.
but I always start from the beginning when I had to start over. So I read it through Genesis a few times.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I remember I was trying to try and fit what I read in Genesis with what I knew about science, and it was never quite matching up. I could never quite get it to work right. So one day I said,
I'm
"Okay,
shocked.
yeah, imagine that." So one day I decided to sit down and go, "Okay, I'm gonna just set this aside. I'd figured this isn't mm, you know going to fit, and just read it at that way." And then it started working out for me. That was kind of really one of my big jumps into atheism.
Hmm.
But not quite like fully. From there, I actually started trying to cobble together some mismatch of different religions. I figure, okay, maybe everybody has their own part of the truth, and
Right.
nobody has it quite right. So I'm going to try and cobble it all together and see if I can figure out this puzzle. And that turned out to be just as big of a mess as anything.
Well, when you have to like cobble shit together, anyways, there's a problem already.
Isn't that like
Yeah.
the new age stuff? Isn't that what they're kind of, that's their kind of jam? Like just some great out there creator, like.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Some of it. They tend to like to focus on some of the older religions that no longer exist and try and resurrect
Borrow from
something.
them.
Yeah.
They definitely do. Because in a lot of the modern day wooey stuff, new ageism stuff, you always see shit like chakras and chi and all that, right?
Yeah.
Which I get the idea behind it all, but it's not really a thing. So what was your stance, I guess, once you sort of found your way out of the Abrahamic belief system and you went into like the Wiccan stuff or in general paganistic type stuff, did you still have did you hold on to things like an afterlife and a soul and stuff like that?
Oh yes. In fact, the belief in an afterlife was probably one of the last things I let go of.
Mm. Yeah, I would say the same for me, probably. So what, like the past, like I actually went in for a session of past life regression. It's weird that I've never actually told this before, but and they were trying to tell me that I was Egyptian once, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't fucking think so. And I visited the psychic one time too, and I left there thinking to myself, this is fucking nonsensical bullshit. Like, what are you talking about? They kept telling me that by the time I was 30, I was going to have 3 kids, and that didn't happen. So you're a shitty psychic. And then they have cover shit like, oh well,
Yeah.
you I told you all this, so you ended up going down a different path. No, I didn't. I went down the path I was always going to go down. So fuck you.
Yeah. Reading the Bible and moving out of the Abrahamic religions already had happened, and that's when my mom died.
Mm.
And I remember her saying that was like my last actual prayer to God was after she had died. Like, well, if you're not gonna help me, then it was almost like that prayer in Conan and to Crom. If you're not gonna help me, then screw you.
Yeah.
The hell with you. I don't need you.
The moment Conan became an atheist.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll be the god from now on. The god of death.
And losing the belief in an afterlife is actually good for me. It was
Yeah.
not a it was kind of it was a dangerous mindset for me to be in, because I do have I do have suicidal thoughts.
Oh.
And at the time I was thinking, okay, there's this place so I can get away from all the pain. All I have to do is die.
Right.
And okay, so there's this rule thing. Apparently, there's a rule that you can't take your own life to do it. So I'm just gonna let something else take me out. So that's a very dangerous mindset to be in. So
Yes.
so becoming an atheist probably saved my life in some respects.
Yeah,
Oh, interesting.
I don't think it's cool to tell people that they have an extra life, like in a video game. Like, you shouldn't tell people that they have an extra one when they really don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is the one we know we get, so
Yeah.
might as well do the best you can here, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think what kept me going is I figured, well, I can help other people, but if I'm not around to do that, I can't do that. So I'm gonna have to stick around as long as I can. And
Yeah.
if I'm lucky, maybe I'll take myself out saving somebody else.
Yeah,
That was the
yeah.
kind of mindset I was in at the time.
Giving your life for someone else is pretty much the ultimate sacrifice you can do. Now, don't everybody
Yeah, don't jump on that bandwagon.
that Jesus thing, but Jesus gave his life for. Hey, shut up. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the immortal guy was hurting for what? A blip of an eye.
Yeah,
Yeah, Jesus had
inconvenienced himself for a weekend.
Yeah, Jesus had
Don't even
one
remember
bummer.
it.
Yeah, he had one bummer for weekend.
And then he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm immortal." Oh, and then just lifted up out of there. Like,
yeah, I think I finally I was watching. I think when I finally gave up on the afterlife concept, I was watching a physicist doing like this sort of TED Talk sort of thing. What the hell's his name? Sean Carroll, I think, and he talks about how
oh yeah,
everyday physics is well understood, and your conscience doesn't survive your death because it's made of your mind and goes when your mind goes. Like once brain death occurs, there's no more consciousness. So, and it doesn't just waft off into somewhere, because they'd be able to measure that. If that did happen, there would be some sort of an energy, and it would have its own like Higgs field, because all particles and stuff like that have their own Higgs fields and stuff. So, and they've never ever witnessed anything like that. So they know for a fact that when you die, your consciousness goes with it. So
there is
whatever
somebody
lives.
Yeah, there is somebody who actually claimed that they have measured the soul and weight. And all that,
21 ounces or some shit.
Yeah.
That's pretty heavy, actually.
They didn't take into account other things that may have been leaving the body as
Right.
Oh no,
gases and such.
Oh no, oh no.
Yes.
I put in the invincibility cheat code. Aha.
Yeah, nowadays I say
Game Genie to the rescue.
Nowadays I'm gonna live forever or die trying.
What do we want? Time travel. When do we want it? It's irrelevant.
Yesterday.
It doesn't matter.
I'm not sure if they'll really ever be able to do that. It's possible, I suppose. On a quantum level, they say it's possible, but I don't know if we'll ever have that kind of technology. It won't be in any of our lifetimes or our children's lifetimes. But
I figure
science is exponential. It just gets more and more.
I figure the next 10, 15 years, they'll be able to upload your consciousness into like a light USB stick, and I'll just be like the HUD inside. I'll be the annoying like AI, like in my like kid's HUD, and like I can bother my wife. I'll just walk around like, oh, you forgot to buy dryer sheets, and you're already halfway home. Sorry, and then I'll just like, I'll just disappear away.
It'll probably be longer than that, but
maybe 7 years.
I recommend. I just finished on my month-long break from being on the webs, other than popping into Twitter or other people's streams like Purple's. A show that I watched, it was on the Curiosity streaming platform. It's called 2077 10 Seconds to the Future, it's called. And they talk about some very, very interesting things. And you'd be surprised at just how close we are to uploading consciousness.
I see. I'm going to be on a USB drive.
We're still a ways away. No, USB drive wouldn't be big enough. You
USB
need, unless
B.
it would literally have to be like fucking zettabytes of room in there or something like that.
Petabytes.
Petabytes, yeah, or whatever.
How many is
You
that?
gotta-
How many over a terabyte is that?
1,000.
Petabytes, 1,000 terabytes. Yeah.
1,000 terabyte. All right, let me start buying them now while they're cheap, because once everybody figures out you can upload yourself, then they're gonna be wanting them too, and there's gonna be a rush. Quick, buy all the stock for whatever that place is. Scan disk.
From what I'm aware of, it might need about 4 or 5. So
4 or 5 petabytes of space. I think it needs even
yeah.
more than that, because
might be more.
there's actually bigger than petabyte too. I just can't remember what the names of them are.
Megabyte.
That's been used.
There's also the question of just how much space does the memory take up. So we have
That's right.
a general idea of how the size of the box, but we don't know what's the size of what's going in the box, basically.
That's right. But they had some really, really cool stuff on that show. Some really interesting things.
Oh.
There we go.
Yeah, okay.
Terabytes?
Let's see. Well, after
So what
my
brought
dad,
you... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, after my dad died, I said I was I was already agnostic at that point. I was on a online Star Trek forum, and somebody posted up a link in the general chat to Sci-10 Brudenkate's website.
Oh boy.
And he happened to have his habit of tracking his websites, its links. So he actually tracked it back to the forum, signed up, and started arguing with everybody. So I'm questioning things at this point, and I'm watching this back and forth between Sci-10 and all these other people on the forum. That was a nice little notch in my atheist.
In Star Trek?
Yeah, it's in a Star Trek forum.
Why is he digging into the Star Trek? He said, I'll trace this link back and find them.
Yep, that's exactly what he was doing.
That's crazy. Can't escape them. Not even your Star Trek forums are safe. There you go, Neil. That's how we'll find guests. We'll just start throwing links out there, wait for people to share them, then reverse engineer the whole process and go.
But thank you, Sci-10, for helping me along the way to being an atheist.
I don't know what this is. Hello, Nick. Neilio bite. When you run out of space and the drive bites you, then apologizes.
Oh, it's Canadian. Yeah.
Apparently, we got Ollie bites now. Ollie bites. Now, I just found it though. Petabyte is after that is exabyte, then zettabyte, and then yottabyte. So even Yoda got his accept his YOTTA. So it's always up 1,024 of the previous becomes the next one.
Information I store.
Mm-hmm. There you go. So now that you're into sort of like the paganistic type stuff like that, how long did you do that for? Because I was in there for a little while.
Let's see.
And what led you out of that?
Well, I probably started when I was around 18, 19. Yeah, I was around 18. And I don't know, maybe about 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just kind of dawned on me that the magic spells were really nothing more than in prayer. And worked about the same way. It's about the same results.
Yeah.
Yep. That's right. They literally are a form of prayer. Oh, we got what is it? What's the guy's name? Jesus something or other? Jesus is a myth, or what's his name? Jesus, no, not Jesus. It wouldn't be that because he's a believer.
What?
Rebuke and reprove. More deconversion stories.
Oh yeah.
More like deconstruction, which is yeah, same thing, man. Deconstruction, deconversion. Deconstructing is how you end up deconverting.
Tomato, potato.
Exactly. So, Mage, what about the I guess the stuff that you were doing while you were considering yourself to be a Wiccan or Wiccan and all that? Did you sort of just start saying, "I'm really not getting anything out of this either"? Is that sort of what led you away from it?
Yeah, I think that was probably about it.
Did you try to do some spells?
Oh yeah, yes,
I did.
Yeah.
And they never really worked.
Well, like I said, they worked about as much as any other prayer. Though after becoming an atheist, I was testing prayer. I had pray to God, pray to a screwdriver, pray to a tin can, and I think it was a pencil or something. So each time I'd pray, I'd pray to one of these things each and wait for a result. And interestingly enough, the screwdriver gave me the best results.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of results were those?
Oh, same results as you get with any prayer. It just happened in the prayers that got answered of the yes, as the Christians might say, it was with the screwdriver.
So is it like spin the thing or?
No, just pray to it.
Oh, interesting.
So if you want stuff done, pray to my screwdriver.
There you go.
At least it has a functional use afterwards too.
True.
Well, multi-use, you could
There you
write. Well, multi-use, you can write and erase.
Yeah.
All hail the screwdriver. Yes, Judy. Hi, Judy, by the way.
Yes.
Hello. Porpoise popped in. Hello, everybody. It's good to see everyone back here. It's been a month and a bit.
The gang's
It was actually
all
supposed
here.
to start, but unfortunately, work held me up, so we had to bump it to today. So you're the first show back in here, Mage.
Yeah, I found that out.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure.
Everyone's watching you.
I think John changed his name. Antichrist. Robertson. Oh, you guys actually have Robertson heads down there? Cool. They were invented in Canada. They're the screwdrivers that have little square heads.
Yeah.
That fit inside. That's a Robertson head.
Oh, this is a Phillips head. Oh, nice. Could have used one of those.
They don't slip. Well, they're Canadian invention, actually. So
yeah,
I got a whole bunch of them here.
Leave it to the Canadians. Think they're better than us? Stop being better than us.
We don't think that.
Stop being better than us.
Oh, I see. Trust me, we got our share of fucking morons up here too.
Yeah, it's just the ones of us that have fled the wall.
There's some joke about that from years ago, I remember.
Wildlings.
Let's see here. Well, after the whole form thing, that's where I found my way to YouTube and the YouTube atheists.
Oh, cool.
Who did you watch?
Thunderfoot.
Yep.
And I watched Thunderfoot. I went to the person. I went to the person he was responding to. I watched what he had to say. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Nephilim free. But I basically compared what the two said. I went on the internet, looked up what they were saying, and okay, Thunderfoot's making more sense. He's the one actually who's right here. And believe it or not, it wasn't until about in 2005, when I was 25, that I first heard evolution. So I was really only starting to learn about evolution, and at that point too.
Wow. You didn't get taught any of that stuff at an earlier age?
Best I got was the whole pea experiment,
I
pea
don't
pods
even
and
know
all
what
that.
that is. Oh, I don't know what that is.
Crossbreeding the different varieties of peas. Especially genetics. That was about the best I got. I had crappy formal schooling. Just about everything I know was self-taught or taught from my dad.
Cool. Oh, yep. It's hashtag coins again.
Yeah.
So, anyways, after finding your way down the YouTube rabbit hole of atheism, you were saying that the first one you found was Thunderfoot, which yes, he's an atheist, but he also likes to debunk a lot of so-called like perpetual motion machines, anti-gravity technologies, and stuff like that. So
yeah, he's been quite a Elon Musk kick lately.
Oh yeah.
Though at the time he was really only doing atheism when I found him.
Okay.
But I ended up finding my way after learning a little bit about evolution. I found my way onto a gaming forum where they had a philosophical discussion in section, and somebody had posted the fossilized his foot in a boot image, and that's where I decided, okay, I'm going to challenge myself and have this back and forth on that, and that kind of kickstarted me into arguing as an atheist and arguing for evolution and all that, and I got quite interested in evolution at that point. It's a bit of a hobby now.
Sounds like Ollie.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it's Ollie.
Yep, that's Ollie.
Haiku. That's Ollie haiku right there.
And I remember I was making all these arguments on that, and so it was plagiarizing Richard Dawkins. I'm like, who? I didn't even heard of the guy at the time. Like, this guy. Like, so I looked
Really?
like, oh, yeah, I haven't really heard of him. The guy. I watched maybe a few clips of him here and there, but I hadn't really watched him. I wasn't really into the whole the scene at the time.
Sure.
But this is my early time of just getting into it and arguing these points. And the person said, "Oh, you're Richard Dawkins." I listened to the guy like, "Oh, okay. I guess I'll take that as a compliment."
Right. I nailed it.
Yeah.
Well, Dawkins turned out to be somewhat of a turf anyway, so people kind of don't really
now
care so much about him. But
at the time,
his early work is I still have some of his books and stuff from his earlier days. So
yeah, I have the God Delusion on my shelf here I got from a charity thing. So the money went to a good cause.
yeah, that's cool. His early work is important, but these days now he's kind of gone off the top or off his rocker quite a bit. I think it might have something to do with aging. Maybe it's kind of made him.
I'm thinking it might have had something to do with the stroke he had, because that's kind of when I noticed he started kind of really going.
Yeah. I think it may have had something to do with that, but it hasn't really been the same since then, too. I noticed as well. So
I almost had a chance to meet the guy.
Yeah, me too.
He was going to have a dinner at this thing of my uncle's perpetual life meeting. Yeah, one of my uncles is into this whole perpetual life thing where you live forever. You upload your brain to the ether and all that.
Yeah.
And apparently Dawkins is going to be at one of these get-togethers, and he invited me to come along to meet the guy. But unfortunately he canceled, so I never got to meet him.
Yeah, I had tickets to see him and Matt Dillahunty here in Vancouver. I ended up having to give them to a friend of mine who took his wife, and because I was so sick. I was so sick at the time. I had a lung infection.
I'm glad you
So
I'm
I
glad you
couldn't go.
brought up Matt Dillahunty, because it's the link in my chain. I was listening to the Atheist Experience, and Matt was telling one of the callers about what atheism was. I'm like,
Mhm.
wait a second, that's describing me. So I looked it up. Like, wait, yeah, he's right. Okay, that definition fits. So okay, I guess I'm an atheist.
Ah, so because of him is when you kind of first realized that that's exactly what you were.
That's when I started identifying as an atheist.
Awesome. I'm pretty pleased because just recently I finally got to do an episode of something with him.
The call.
I've always wanted to. Yeah, the hang up, I think they call it.
Yeah,
The hang
hang
up
up.
call.
Or the line. He's on the line.
The line. Yeah, that's where he does the hang up.
Yeah, that's where he does the hang up.
I got to actually do an episode with him. It was fun.
Yeah.
He asked me, he goes, "Yeah, you want to come do a show with me?" I'm like, "Yeah, fuck yeah." So I've been wanting to do that for a long time. And he's not everybody's cup of tea, and I understand
Yeah.
why, because he's pretty in your face, and I get that.
Yeah, he can be an ass at times.
Oh, of course you can. I think we all can, really,
Oh, yeah.
especially depending on our mood. But I look at it this way, and it's not me forgiving his horrid behavior when it happens, but although I don't want to say I call it horrid behavior. He can be quite off-putting to some people, and I think it comes from years of doing this and hearing the same old shit over and over and over again. And at some point, you just got to go, you know what? Shut the fuck up. I've heard this. It doesn't work. Click. Like that's
Maybe. I've seen him be abrasive to other people online, and it had nothing to do with it. But...
Yeah.
Anyway, we can all be jerks. I mean, like I said,
exactly.
my Twitter profile, I have says jerk of all trades. So you're forewarned.
Juni, you're about as the biggest ass as I am a NASCAR driver. So come on.
Right. Neil is undefeated this year.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, Matt. I think Matt still in his heart is a decent person. At least he tries to be. But he can come off as very abrasive.
Yes, I do think I do try and look for the good in even the worst people.
Yeah. Well, I often say never judge somebody by the worst thing they've ever done, because there's so much more that could overshadow that. And I call myself Matt's friend, and he calls me his friend. So
yeah.
I think
I personally have no animosity towards him. So
I call people on my cell phone.
Right, you text. Who uses a cell phone anymore?
If I ever got the chance, I'd thank him for getting me to realize I was an atheist. So if he ever listens to this, thank you.
He may. He has watched some of my stuff. He's also been on the show and in a couple after parties too. So
yeah, somebody clip it. Don't boo my jokes. How dare you?
No. Junie, you're awesome. So exactly. Purple said it. You're sweet and adorable. Anyway. Yeah. So coming out of paganism, you didn't delve into anything else on your way out of paganism. It's just kind of just sort of blend from that into atheism, because I find a lot of people go that route. I did. I've spoken with Aaron Ra, who also did, and other people that I know went kind of from the Abrahamic faith system or something similar to sort of paganistic beliefs, because they felt like they weren't getting what they wanted out of those. So maybe this will work for them. Because I think at our core, we need some kind of spiritualistic-y kind of beliefy thing. Although many of us outgrow that, I think maybe is the term. But ultimately, I just said, no, none of that stuff really makes any sense to me. None of it works. Like prayer doesn't work. Spells don't work, and I've tried them. Trust me, like they don't work. They trust me, bro. But you know what I mean. Like I've tried that sort of shit, and it just didn't do anything. It, and they say sometimes prayer can make you feel better. Not really. Not for me.
No.
They never really did for me.
Not for everybody.
So I think, was there something else after that? Because I kind of just went from calling myself a Wiccan, and I still wear this ring here. Whoop, this one here, to sort of commemorate that phase.
I still have my ring as well.
Right,
I have a little
and I got
pentagram
the
ring.
Atheist one next to it because it's like a phase thing. Go from one to the other.
Oh, yeah, that's good. But like I said, I did try and cobble something together, or at one point, from all different religions I could encounter, and that didn't work either. That was probably where I then transitioned to being agnostic and then atheist.
Sure. I think many of us do that as well. I think we use the agnostic label just because we're still in that fence sitting point where we're unsure about just everything. So
yeah, well, I think I do consider theists and atheists to be a binary, but I think of that position where you're not sure to be sort of like where you have the light switch being flipped on and off rapidly, and you just can't say where it's sitting,
right,
because it's just flipping so quickly.
Yeah.
So you may be a theist. So you may be a theist one day and an atheist the other next, or even shorter periods of time.
Right on. Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. Now, there's a question that Mike and I like to ask everyone when we come towards the end of these interview parts, because we're almost there, man. It's like less than 8 minutes left. I know, it goes by so quickly, doesn't it? If you could go back and talk to your younger self, back in the days when you were in one of the forms of belief, what kind of advice would you give to your younger self?
I'd probably want to set myself straight as to what atheism was, rather, because I had the view it was belief that God does not exist, rather than being without belief. And that probably would have gotten me to atheism a lot sooner.
Possibly even skipping the other one?
Yeah.
Uh-oh, doorknob head, I hate to break this to you, but I've already punched a Nazi. Yeah.
Well, like I said,
I'll tell you what.
I guess we should finish on the last thing I lost was the belief in an afterlife. And at the time, I kind of had a view of the afterlife, sort of like what you see in What Dreams May Come, where you sort of create your own reality.
Yeah.
After you die.
That would be cool.
Yeah, that was the only way I could see it working.
And honestly, I think if our consciousness is ever able to be uploaded into some form of a computer or a hard drive or something where it stores you, and in my mind, that's technically it's still you. You've been digitized. Now, you will be able to do exactly that. Create your own reality.
Yeah, I suppose you could.
Right? So that's kind of interesting. We're actually making our own afterlife now.
In a way, assuming we can even get that far.
Kool-Aid sucks. Okay, sure.
Yeah, that assumes
with that shit.
Yeah, that assumes we can separate the meat from what the meat is processing.
I think. I mean, I could see it being. It'd be interesting, if you could be uploaded, and then if like your 604 lawnmower man. I think you could, if you could, your great grandchildren from the future could come into their house and boot up great grandpa because they're looking for some advice. And then you would come up and say, "Hey, Stephanie or whoever, what's what do you need to know?"
Hi, Blorgon 457 Delta.
Blorgon. Like I can see that being a thing. Like they take aspects of who you were and load up like an AI, and then the kids could come up there and ask you questions and stuff like that.
That might be how the early systems might work.
Yeah, I could see that.
Intergalactic.
Actually, I think they they have something like that sort of anyways, where they can program something to be like you, an AI version of you. And you'd have to, but they don't like hook up your brain. You have to actually tell them your memories and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
that could take a
actually,
long time.
yeah, I remember actually a movie where they basically hooked up somebody's brain. They were scanning it at all the way up to the moment of death to create this AI of the guy.
There's a series I'm reading where they do it, where they upload your consciousness, and he becomes this consciousness. He accidentally gets killed, and so they load him into this thing, and then years later he's brought back into life, so to speak, and he becomes the AI, or except they don't call it AI. He becomes like an AI, where he becomes part of a program that they use in these spacefaring things, where they send these ships out to other planets to check them out and stuff like that. And they call it the Bobaverse, because he says, "My name's Bob." It's the Bobaverse series, actually, on Audible, and it's quite good. And it's actually, the guy that reads it lives near me. The guy the guy that reads the story, and the author, lives in my neck of the woods. Other than that, the other book I'm reading or listening to right now is Expeditionary Force. But there's like fucking 17 or 18 volumes, and I'm only on number 5. But I'm hooked. It's fucking amazing. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I got some more reading to do.
Oh, I love it. It's so good. It's about an alien species that comes down and sort of attacks Earth, and then they have some other species pretend to be their savior. And they send a bunch of humans that are considered like the lowest of the low out in there, because we're like non-space faring at the time. It's set in sort of this time, day and age, but they end up stealing one of their ships from the Theranin, which is one of the races. They're like the Greys, I guess you could call them. And they call themselves the Merry Band of Pirates. Mr. Lorgon, get off my digital lawn.
I'm currently reading the Ghostbusters. There's 1 and 2 Omnibus, which,
oh yeah,
interesting enough, at the time when I got into first saw the movie, I actually did still believe in ghosts at the time. I'm like R and Ra with that, where I believed everything. Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, all of it.
Oh yeah, cryptids.
And
Yeah, I was right there.
I and all that kind of fell to the wayside one by one.
I still like the shows. The movies are great. So.
Oh yeah, it's still my favorite movie of all time.
Ghostbusters?
Yes.
Wow. I think my favorite movie of all time, for me, because I'm old enough that I was there on launch day in the theater, was Star Wars.
Apparently that was the first movie I saw in theater. I was an infant, and we went to a drive-in. I fell asleep during the opening credits. so I'm told.
To the car motor. Or something.
Oh yeah, definitely.
My dad used to drive me around.
Oh yep, that was the only way they could get me to sleep sometimes.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, they're saying in studies that they've done, it sort of mimics the womb sound or something. I don't know how, but when they feel the vibration and the motion, it puts them to sleep.
Maybe
that doesn't work for every kid though. So
worked for me.
Well, yeah, me too. Hey Phil, how you doing? Yeah, I guess. Well, first, Mage, thanks for jumping in today and
yeah,
finally coming in here and sharing your story with us, man. It's great.
Yeah.
Sounds like you didn't have too rough of a time, so
no, it wasn't too rough.
And we take the good from all that sort of stuff that we learned in those times, anyways, and turn it into something better as we get older, right? So
yeah.
Always treat everyone with respect if you can, if they deserve it.
I mean, and I'm not gonna lie, not that we don't want to hear everybody's story. Everybody deserves to be able to tell a story. Just some stories are a lot heavier than others. It's nice to come back, get your feet up back under. We're getting back into the swing of things, and we had a nice layup. Nice layup episode.
Oh, that give you a calm thing to start things off on.
Real smooth waters. No
good start to the year.
Yeah.
Nothing to shock the system. We've been off, a little rust has developed.
I couldn't even remember how to fucking push the start button, for crying out loud. I'm like, what's going on here?
Neil's like, what's these icons up at the top of the screen? I'm like,
I don't recognize this shit. What the hell's going on?
you mean the YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter? Yeah. That's been there the whole time? Not for me. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I gotta figure out how to do this live streaming stuff. I'm gonna have to get into it pretty soon here.
If only there was a guy.
It's a lot of fun. If only there was a guy.
Well, there was a guy who knew all about all that stuffs.
Yeah.
He's not cheap, though.
I'm gonna start putting y'all on my resume. When I try to take over some large corporation, all the channels that I'm doing work for and helping out and people getting their stuff, I'm putting your link down there on my resume. Like, you can check this channel, cool. this channel, this channel, this channel.
That would work.
Yeah, but don't check this one.
Do not click this link. Whatever you do.
Well, I watched a tutorial on how to do StreamYard, so I'll refresh myself on that before I try it. So
cool, man. I mean, if you get it going and stuff, hit me up. We'll come on.
Yeah, we'll come bug you.
I'll probably post the links in Purple's DM group and Twitter if you're in there.
I am. Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm in a lot of different chat groups.
Not sure exactly when I'll do it, but it'll probably be soon.
Good. Well, I'll see it, obviously, because you'll start posting them and I'll see it. I've just so you guys know, before we close out the show, I have links for Mage Grey Wolf down below, and the YouTube channel that you have is about gardening, which is really cool. I think that's really cool.
It's Gardens Happen.
I like that. And also, I have the Amazon wish list, so you can help Mage out with some of the stuff that is required for doing that kind of a channel. So, yeah. And also, I have Mage's Twitter down there if you want to follow him on Twitter. Yeah. But thanks again, brother, for coming on and sharing your stuff with us.
Yep.
Mikey, my man.
Yo.
Always a pleasure. We are going to do an after party, guys. If you're interested in being a part of that, hit us up. We'll get you a link. If you just want to watch, there is a link below. You can click on that and it'll take you over there. It takes us a little bit to get that going because we always take a bit of a break and then we kind of wait until we have, at least a half a dozen people to get things going. But thank you guys out there in the chat for hanging out with us. I appreciate it. Happy New Year again to everybody. And let's hope that this year is going to, finally be much better than the shit that we've been going through for the past few years. Also, thanks to my amazing patrons. It's awesome that you do what you do for the show, and we do appreciate it. Because without you, I probably wouldn't still be doing this. So thank you all for everything you do for the show.
You're keeping the lights on out there.
That's right, keeping the lights on. Is that what they say? Okay.
Yeah. And
fuck Elon Musk. Fuck that guy. He's not the genius you think he is. Don't let him fucking swindle you into believing that shit.
Yeah, like I said, everybody thought he was the real life Tony Stark. It turns out he was the real life Justin Hammer.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I've seen that meme too. That's fucking brilliant.
What's that actor's name who plays Hammer? He is always fucking killer in everything that he's in. Because he was in a Green Mile. He's always like the kind of like a little bit too crazy guy. He was like Wild Bill or whatever they call him. And he spit the moon pie in his face. Like, that's the same dude. Like, he's been doing these like great character roles for like 20 years. Who is that guy? Who is that man?
I can't remember his name. Yeah, just Google that shit. Man.
Oh, Sam Rockwell. Yeah, Sam Rockwell is a fucking legend. Shout out to Sam Rockwell. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, Neil, you got to hit the button.
Yeah.
Dude.
I know. Right. All right, everyone. Stick around for the after party. Well, there's a link to it. You can go hang out there, and we'll see you guys soon. But until then, guys, like I always say at the end of these interviews, like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.